And here we are on Entombed Valley for Game 4 of Fight Club 26, IPL Fight Club 26.
Wow, already?
Yeah, it's been going, I mean, we're halfway through this year. It's July already. Startail Squirtle up 2-1 over this guy. He is the purple Zerg in the top right corner of Entombed Valley. Karante Esports Club VortiX, the brother of Lucifron. And down in the bottom left corner, we have the current champion of Fight Club and the guy leading the series. It is Startail Squirtle, this red Protoss right here. So already sending that probe out to the middle of the map. I hope they realize that it's cross only. Sometimes, you know,
I don't actually know if our version is, honestly.
It is.
Is it only cross? Okay, because there's a lot of versions. I don't even think the GSL version is actually cross only for this one. Metropolis
is our only map that is not force cross, I believe.
I see.
But yeah, so I mean, it's hard to keep up with all the different map versions and stuff like that. Obviously, Entombed Valley is a Blizzard ladder map, so these guys need to scout. They just impulsively scout all the directions, I think, anyway, from playing ladder. So not a bad move. I'm not going to fault him for that. VortiX obviously going straight across with his Overlord, just because that's how the timings kind of work out. He can send a drone after that, or even a Ling even later to discover his opponent's whereabouts. But this probe is going to come in. See, no hatchery placed yet, obviously, so he's going to drop that little blockage pylon. Spawning pool did go down for VortiX already, and forage first for Squirtle back at home.
Yep, and I like this opening by Squirtle. I mean, on a map where your third is a little bit separated from the rest of your main by these rocks, by the ramps, you kind of have to come all the way around the outside like this. I do like the decision by Squirtle, just go ahead and not go Nexus first. Just block that natural expansion, just make it that much tougher for VortiX. And look at this. He may even be able to be annoying at the third base as well, and I bet he will. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see another pylon go down here.
Yeah, that would actually be a smart decision. After the last game, we saw that VortiX was like, okay, whatever, I'll just build my hatch somewhere else. And I'm actually just kind of musing to myself in my head now, if Squirtle builds a pylon here, maybe VortiX takes the top middle expansion or the top left expansion or something like that.
Oh, he almost got it down.
Come on, man.
And he does. Okay, there it is. I mean, the thing is that it does delay this quite a bit, but at least, you know, by the time you finally get this down, you've got Zerglings on the way, like these guys right here, to take out this pylon and then take your natural expansion at the normal place. Yep. In the meantime, we've got a wall going up for Squirtle.
Not a full wall.
Not yet, no.
Interesting.
I keep getting thrown off by the fact that he's using Bomber's account for this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, a little bit.
But these games are played on North American server because that's what we do when we have a European play against a Korean, so that we don't favor one side or the other. We make them both play on North America.
That's right.
And, you know, if it's Korea versus Korea, obviously they can play on their server, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's why they're both using weird accounts instead of just Squirtle and VortiX. But this wall off, not complete yet. Cybernex Core is going to plug the hole, basically. Not completely. There's still a spot for a Zealot to try and sneak in there and fill the gap. But this cannon is going to deter the Ling from trying to run past, as just 2 shots will kill a Ling.
You can see it too.
Yeah,
you just can't shoot that far. Wow.
Do it, cannon.
Range 7, just not enough in that case.
Yep. They should give cannons range 9 and then see what the metagame turns to.
Oh, man.
Mass cannons.
Everyone cannon rushes every game. Yeah,
any range increase just means that unit gets superpowers.
I'd love to see that. That'd be just wonderful. Yeah.
It reminds me of actually when Grubby first started to play StarCraft 2, when he first started transitioning on games like Zelnaga Caverns, he would build cannons all the way across the map.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Like, just cannons everywhere. And then he would make these stalemates where he's like, you attack. No, you attack. He's like, I don't want to lose. It's like, well, you built 75 cannons. I can't attack.
Zelnaga Caverns was like one of the best stalemate maps in StarCraft 2. I'd say the absolute best was probably Zelnaga Fortress. Well, Desert Oasis maybe, but Zelnaga Fortress, man, and TVT, oh, it was terrible. They had to eventually, remember how they changed it so the Zelnaga Tower self-destructed after the first 7 minutes or something?
The timer it had a timer on it. I remember
it's because otherwise it was too easy to just take it and then create a tank line that literally covered the entire map, you know? So then Sensor Towers just ended up replacing Zelnaga Towers, and people still did it, but it wasn't quite as bad.
Awesome. Yep, so musing about retired maps for a reason. They're retired for a reason. But Yield Map Tournament 2, when's that coming along?
I don't know, man. Maybe someday. We'll see.
Yeah, we got to retire more maps first.
I'd love to do that someday, but
they have to be retired for a minimum of a year and a half, I think, to be eligible. But
we'll keep that in mind. Delta Quadrant's just coming up right now.
Yeah, Delta Quadrant will be eligible soon. So VortiX actually only building drones and overlords still to this point. You know, a handful of what do we got? Something's approaching the front door there. What is that? Just a handful of Lings. Yep.
Yep, just a couple Zerglings. Put down a cannon just to stay safe, but
Lair's on the way. I don't know if he even built a roach horn yet, so he may be waiting until that's a little bit further completed.
Well, I'm waiting to see kind of how many gases he decides to just put up here. He just did start his lair. Could be going for something like Mutalisks. It's not exactly a bad map for it. He doesn't, like you mentioned, have that Evo chamber or the roach horn just yet. And it looks like Squirtle's going to be thinking about taking a third. Usually that would be the reason why Protoss players get hallucination a lot of times. Yep, immediately going to work on the rocks. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer game from Squirtle. Last time he played on this map last week, this was the game where he ended up going carriers. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, we'll see what happens this time around. Look at this, a huge amount of links being made early on by VortiX. I think he knows that his opponent's going to want to try to take a third, so he wants to be able to get in there and deny that as best he can. But that's a big amount of resources being used for that. That just kind of confirms what I'm already suspecting, where I bet we're going to see Mutalisks. Yeah, he's got all 6 gases. And there's the Spire started.
Yeah, well, he gave Squirtle a lot of breathing room in all 3 of the first games, and actually he let Squirtle dictate the pace of the game in that last one. Even though VortiX did just say screw it, I'm going to build a lot of Hydras, and hopefully you're not ready for it. Squirtle has dictated the pace of basically all 3 games. Obviously, the first one with that Warp Prism harass meant VortiX had to kind of wait and be distracted by it and stuff like that. Second game, Squirtle just kind of mauled him, but that's because VortiX couldn't pressure him, couldn't do anything early on. So instead, it looks like VortiX is gearing up to try and be annoying, but hasn't actually sent anything in yet, and now this third Nexus is about to go down.
That's right. Oh, I like this too, hallucinating some Phoenixes to go scout, but then also see where those Zerglings are. Gets his units in a great spot. VortiX is going to have a nearly impossible time coming up.
Let's see if he finds this Spire. That is going to be the key.
It's going to be the big question here, yeah.
The key tech. If he discovers it, he will be good to go. If he doesn't, he could be in big trouble here soon. Oh, he didn't fly out. I think he's gonna,
right here. Oh,
yeah,
he's
definitely getting. Yep, and selected it, so he's good to go.
Yeah, he knows what's going on. Not too surprising at all. And I mean, I think when he saw that Evo chamber and no Roach Warren, he kind of knew it was going to be Spire most likely. Not a big jump of logic there with that. He does have a Twilight Council on the way. Oh, and 10 Mutas on the way for VortiX. Going to want to get Blink as soon as possible here. Probably going to put a couple more cannons down. Yeah, he's got a pylon started behind each mineral line.
Yep, Blink on the way, upgrades on the way, 3 more gateways in production. So as soon as he saw that Spire, he just ramped everything into anti-air mode. Sees a couple of Mutas already en route to his sort of natural blockade. What did Squirtle block this with gateways outside of his third? Yes.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, most Zergs would these days.
Nice wall there. So those Mutas are going to have they take forever to open up that wall if that's the intent. So Baneling Nest actually being created here too. Ventral Sacks and Overlord Speed again for VortiX. I'm really curious if he's ever going to be able to make good use of that.
This is actually a good time to do it. One of the best times actually to go for Overlord drops is when you've got your opponent in a situation like this. What he's going to try to do here is force out a lot of Stalkers from Squirtle right now, and that's going to mean that there's going to be less Immortals to go after his Roaches, things like that, less Force Fields from Sentries. So in this case, when your opponent is putting a lot of resources into taking that third base, making a lot of probes, and then you kind of force them along a tech path like Stalkers, that's like the best time for drops, because they usually won't have an army that can kind of handle them. It looks like he's not even going to go for Roach drops. It's going to actually be Zerglings and Mutalisks. Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
so
well,
yeah, if you drop the
Baneling
links,
Nest completed now, so he can.
Does he? Okay,
yeah, he can actually crank those out.
That's going to be good then. Yeah, there it is. Yep, no Baneling speed, but he's not going to need it because they're going to be coming
He'll be right there. Yeah,
right on top of his opponent. Yep.
So I want to say I want to commend VortiX for taking that 4th base during this time, because he knows Squirtle is not going to move out with that many Mutas. He's not ready yet. So he missed the Overlord.
I did not see the Overlords. That could be a bit awkward.
Ventral Sacks are going to be done right as he arrives. Oh, so many Banelings are going to get dropped. What is going to happen?
27 Banelings on the way. Let's check the defenses of Startail Squirtle. He's got some sentries to help. That's not enough Stalkers, so this is about to get really interesting here.
Is he going to send everything in, or is he going to send Mutas to one direction, Banelings in the other direction?
Well, what you can do is you can just send your Mutas in with that as well. Stalkers are firing at Mutas, they're firing at Overlords. Basically, your Overlords take less fire from that. He's going to try to break down the wall at the same time. There goes the Pylon. Here come the Zerglings trying to force out some force fields. He does, and here come the Banelings right now, along with those Mutalisks, and Squirtle could be in trouble here. Does he have what it takes to defend it?
I don't know. Oh, I hate Overlord drops so much. Like, that whole time I'm just thinking...
Oh, he did a ton of damage to those Stalkers, though, and it can work. Like, this is the situation. Like I said, man, this is when you want to do Overlord drops. You actually see this all the time in ZVP, and this is why.
Is he a little too unfocused, though?
We'll see, man. I don't know. I mean, he's done a ton of damage already, but he needs to do more. Yeah, that actually, well... You know, he did some. Let's just check out the workers' loss. Right, he didn't kill any, except for one.
He threw a jab and it didn't follow through.
Units lost a lot more for our Zerg player.
I feel like he could have just rolled through the gateways with all those banelings.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. It was. I felt like the timing was good. I felt like he had a good army, but you know, the execution just was a little bit too spread out. And there are +3 weapons coming out already. VortiX here.
He's going to do it again.
A bit risky. Yeah. I don't know how well this is going to work. He's going for the pylons again.
Yeah, okay, so I have a challenge for people watching this. Tweet me at AskJoshi with VODs where Overlord drops, like, actually do well, and the game isn't already over, you know what I mean?
I've seen, like, 2 or 3 of them in the last couple of weeks. I can't tell you what they're from, but yeah, I definitely
I want to see this executed, like, perfectly.
I've actually never seen it
botched so much.
Well, here he comes again, and yeah, this is not going to be enough, I don't think. Banelings dropping on the Stalkers, that does help, but the Archons do still stay alive. All the Overlords getting taken out, 151 supply over 72. That's going to be a bit rough. But, all right, well, it's a lot of Lings, but just not going to be enough. It doesn't look like those Overlords are in too good of a spot right now. Yeah, running into the main, trying to do a little bit more damage. That's a good idea. Is going after the Templar Archives.
It's going to be too slow.
Don't think that's going to go down,
yeah, definitely go for those probes. I was going to say, do you think instead of running at those Archons and Zealots, he should have just gone to the left side and gone to the natural and tried to kill off some probes?
Possibly. That may have helped. To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a big mass kind of dropping strategy like this with Zergling, Baneling, Muta. All the times I've seen it work have been Ling Roach. Yeah, and I feel like that's a better way to go. It's a lot more durable if you kind of consider that. Think about the army that VortiX would have had at this point if he would have gone just plain old Ling Roach instead of Muta, Ling, Baneling.
The Mutas serve their purpose, but then I think mixing it with the Overlord drops
Hatchery might be going down.
I think it definitely is
will be going down.
Yep, so the Muta's a little too slow to react to that. Warp Prism coming up now, and Storm from Squirtle. So Storm drops, definitely a potential. He's warped in some Templar earlier, but I believe they all turned into Archon. Those Archons performed brilliantly during that whole encounter.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just got to sit in the corner.
Yeah, they just grinded down, man.
They got to shoot, what is it called?
Psionic
Shockwave. That's what they did. They just Psionic Shockwaved all day.
Yep, so they basically just got those Zerglings to run into them like a wood chipper. Like a splash wood chipper.
You know what? These Mutas do have +2, and he does have +1 carapace on the way, making a lot more Mutas, so he can still be very annoying with this.
Cannons?
Whoa, those are a lot of cannons.
Those are pylons. Oh, it's like,
that's still a lot of cannons. Look at that.
That is a lot of cannons. But I thought he was building 5 more.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news for VortiX. He should see that and then immediately take like 2 more bases. And then just kind of be really careful to watch out for these guys, and he will find it with his Mutalisks, because it looks like 1 Muta. Yeah, he may just decide to land and warp in Stalkers, but yeah, there we go. Now they're all now they're all getting there.
Yep, so Warp Prism taken out very deftly by VortiX, but now Squirtle says, okay, I killed a bunch of your dropped stuff. You can't really be maxed yet. I'm going to make a move here. Psystorm is done. He's got more Templar ready to go. Banelings and Lings, again, I'm just worried because there's Archons now, there's Storm out, there's Warp Prisms. These Mutalisks are going to have to be very effective.
He didn't get Baneling speed either. I mean, it's not something you get very often anyway, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here, because Caronte VortiX has kind of an equivalent supply right now with his opponent. They're basically even, and Squirtle's got a really, really strong army against us. I mean, Archons and Zealots just tear apart Lings and Banelings, obviously. Banelings are not very cost-efficient against Zealots. Certainly not cost-efficient against Stalkers, unless you happen to get a lot of Stalkers clumped up into like a really tight ball.
I see creep being spread at the Xel'Naga Tower right now. I'm picturing these storms that are incoming and how violent they're going to be on these Overlords, Mutas, and Lings. Like, it's going to be just a shredder.
Oh man, here we go. The Overlord's trying to come in, but look at that splitting by Squirtle, just perfect. Storms on all the Mutas, and oh man, I do not think that VortiX is going to have enough for this. His Mutas are taking way too much damage.
Those Banelings just got dropped and exploded immediately. There were so many Stalkers ready to go.